Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. It is Friday, January 28th, a big docket. Let's get to it. First, 65 million potential problems for Alex Murdaugh. Second, a hearing to give Kyle Rittenhouse his property back. Third, deny, a.k.a. Prince Andrew. A petition worked in Colorado. Maybe it'll work in Texas as well. A police chief resigns. Wait till you hear for what. You shouldn't mess with witnesses, and I'm serious about this. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk, the most fact-driven, unbiased true crime channel. It is Friday, January 28th, 2020. Now, you know the drill. If you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell so you receive notifications of when we go live and put up new content. And always remember, if you can't watch us here on YouTube, you can download us on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Just type in Crime Talk with Scott Reich. Let's get to the docket. First, Alex Murdaugh is back in the news. $65 million man, potentially. The mother of the 19-year-old Mallory Beach, who was killed in a boat crash in 2019, as well as two survivors of the accident, are seeking a combined $65 million in claims against the estate of Maggie Murdaugh and her son Paul, who was allegedly driving the boat while intoxicated. Now, Mark Tinsley, the attorney for Renee Beach, filed two $25 million creditor claims in Colton County probate court against the estate of Maggie Murdaugh and Paul Murdaugh, who were obviously, we talked about, shot dead on their hunting property back in June of 2021. Tinsley said he filed the claims to make sure his clients are in line to get money they believe is owed to them before any other beneficiaries of the estate. Tinsley also filed personal injury claims for Morgan Dowdy and Miley Altum, who survived the boat crash, against the two estates from the boat crash, according to documents. Now, Dowdy, Paul's girlfriend at the time of the accident, filed two $5 million creditor claims against the estate. Altman, who is dating Paul's friend Connor Cook, filed $2.5 million creditor claims against the estate before Paul and Maggie were murdered. Now, Mallory Beach's family, as well as survivors Connor and Anthony Cook, had filed civil lawsuits against Murdaugh back in connection with the boat crash as well. Tinsley says the claims were filed as a place-holding mechanism to ensure that money from the estate is not distributed to beneficiaries before the creditors. Some of the beneficiaries obviously could be Alex Murdaugh. Tinsley said he believes Murdaugh and his brother, John Marvin Murdaugh, who represent Maggie's estate, are taking preemptive legal measures to protect properties, including the family's 1,700-acre estate, from creditors. In 2021, a judge placed a lis pendens on the property owned by Murdaugh. Now, lis pendens is simply a document saying this property is subject to litigation, and you don't want to buy it until that litigation is resolved. It essentially freezes the assets to prevent them from liquidating assets. Now, recently, John Marvin had asked the courts to remove the lis pendens on the properties in Maggie's estates, which are supposed to go to Alec. Funny how that works, isn't it? His attorneys argued that the Beach family has no claim to continue against the estate. We'll have to see how that works out. Everybody's lining up to get money. And I get it. These are all tragedies, but I said it once and I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, it's about the money. And when they say it's not about the money, guess what? Then you know it's really about the money. Next on the docket, speaking of a guy who may make some money, it's this guy, Kyle Rittenhouse. A Wisconsin judge is set to hear arguments today on whether prosecutors should return to Mr. Rittenhouse the assault rifle he used to shoot 3 people during the street protest. Obviously, he was found not guilty, and the jury decided all of his actions were in self-defense, which makes Mr. Rittenhouse eligible to get his property back because he wasn't convicted of anything, the government has no right then to dispose of the firearm. So Rittenhouse's attorneys, Mark Richards, filed a motion on January 19th asking the prosecutors to return the rifle and his ammunition, his face mask, and any other clothing that he was wearing that night. Richards said last week that Rittenhouse wants to destroy the rifle and throw the rest of the items away so nothing can be used as a political symbol or a trophy celebrating the shootings. Now, the motions hearing before Judge Schroeder is the Kenosha County judge who presided over Rittenhouse's trial. Mr. Hancock said Rittenhouse would not be in court for Friday's hearing. Meanwhile, a legal fight has broken out over the $2 million that Rittenhouse supporters raised to cover his bail. Mr. Richards filed a motion Thursday seeking that the money that he has plans to divide it between the law firm and the Fight Back Foundation, which was the foundation set up by the lawyers representing Kyle Rittenhouse in the beginning of the case. As you may recall, Lynn Wood and John Pierce, the patent and trademark hedge fund trust, filed a motion Thursday laying claim to that $2 million as well. The trust attorneys argue they are Pierce's creditors, so they deserve all of the money. It's always about the money, ladies and gentlemen. It's always about the money. Deny, deny, deny. That is the defense in Prince Andrew. You can't say I was there. You can't say that's me. And I don't even think that is a real photograph. Deny, deny, deny. So Prince Andrew's legal response to the allegations made by Virginia Roberts in her civil case against him have been described as defiant. I wouldn't go that far. His answers and the affirmative defenses, there are 41 straight denials and further 40 assertions that the prince lacks sufficient information to admit or deny other claims that she makes. Ladies and gentlemen, that is standard practice in a answer to a complaint. You say I'm without sufficient information and therefore we deny the same. Routine. Don't get too spun up about that. Prince Andrew lacks sufficient information to admit or deny that these widely published photographs of himself, Miss Roberts, and Miss Maxwell exist. You know that the notorious picture of the prince with his arm around the young 17-year-old Roberts bears midriffs and Ghislaine in the background, while Prince Andrew denies ever going to the nightclub in London that night with Ghislaine or Roberts and denies an assault even took place. He also said he has no recollection of meeting Miss Roberts, and the prince has also questioned the authenticity of the picture and demanded to see the original photograph. Roberts has said multiple times that the FBI has it stored in a safe place in Australia. But ladies and gentlemen, that is something you have to actually prove in court. That's why everybody says, oh, just go to court, file suit. You just don't file suit, and you have to have all your ducks in a row. You have to have a photograph. You have to have documents. You have to have people come in and testify. And if somebody says, well, that's a copy from the internet of a photo, where's the original, right? That is going to be the best evidence. So we'll see if the FBI is keeping it in a safe place in Australia, according to Miss Roberts. Color me a little skeptical about that. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, Miss Roberts can testify that what she recalls, and if there's no photograph, then the defense can get up and say, ladies and gentlemen, there is no photograph of them that she purports as true. So it's one thing to make allegations. It's another actually being able to prove them in court, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Andrew says he also lacks sufficient information to admit or deny. He and Maxwell have been photographed at numerous social events together. This is somewhat puzzling to a lot of people. There are numerous photographs in the public domain of the prince and Maxwell attending these social events together. Well, you have to have somebody in court actually authenticate that that is a fair and accurate representation by somebody that was at the social event, preferably somebody that actually took the photograph, ladies and gentlemen. You just don't get to put a photograph into evidence. There's evidentiary foundations that are required. As you may recall from the year 2000, this is a photo allegedly of This is a photograph allegedly of Prince Andrew and Ghislaine at a wedding party at the Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, and a photo of Ghislaine with his arm around Andrew's shoulder at a Halloween party allegedly in New York. The prince also states that he lacks sufficient information to admit or deny, therefore denies that his name appears on flight logs, according to that guy named Jeff's flight logs. We'll have to wait and see. He also states that he lacks sufficient information to admit or deny that he didn't know that guy was a registered sex offender during the time of his visit in 2010, when in fact that guy named Jeff was a convicted sex offender when he stayed at the tycoon's home in Manhattan in 2010. Perhaps it's the word registered that the legal team is picking on. We'll have to wait and see. And Andrew denies that he was a frequent guest of that guy named Jeff's properties around the world, including New York, even though in an interview on national television, he stated that he stayed at the Manhattan mansion of the convicted sex offender in 2010 because it was a convenient place to stay. There's also an alleged photo of Prince Andrew inside that guy named Jeff's home in New York City. And last but not least, Andrew states that he lacks sufficient information to admit or deny if he emailed Maxwell stating, "Let me know when we can talk. Get some specific questions to ask you about Virginia Roberts," after Roberts publicly accused him of sexually abusing her in 2015. Prince Andrew sent this now leaked email at 5:50 a.m. and Maxwell reportedly replied, "Have some info. Call me when you have a moment." Certainly would seem to buttress the claim that he knew perhaps of Roberts, but certainly knew Maxwell and that they were going to talk. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out. I think there's going to be a big settlement. It'll never see a courtroom, in my humble opinion, but we'll have to wait and see. Hey, it worked in Colorado. Let's try Texas as well. As you may recall, Mr. Rohel Aguilera received that 110-year sentence, the truck driver, the 110-year sentence. And there was a petition and then outrage. And then the Governor Polis, stepped in and wiped 100 years off the sentence. And now Mr. Rohel Aguilera is only going to spend 10 years in the Department of Corrections. So those brothers that we talked about yesterday, there's already a petition with 204,000 signatures to call for the release of Christian and Alejandro Trevino, 17 and 18, and their friend and alleged accomplice, Juan Eduardo Melendez, 18, from the county jail for allegedly being responsible for the death of their stepfather when they found out that he was doing terrible things to their 11-year-old sister. Well, their bond is set at $1 million. And as we reported yesterday, Christian, Alejandro, and Juan were arrested by the FAR Police Department on Saturday for the killing, allegedly, of Gabriel Quintana, 42. Now, the Change.org petition states, "We ask that the state of Texas to release these teenagers who could possibly spend the rest of their life in prison for protecting their sister." The 3 teenagers are currently in custody and have their bond set at over $1 million each. If convicted of capital murder, they face a minimum sentence of life without the possibility of parole. So I guess we'll see if the governor of the state of Texas will take some action. And frankly, if you don't take some action, are you supporting the guy that allegedly did some bad things to his own daughter? Ugh. These 3 kids took care of it. I know we can't have vigilante justice, but sometimes the dead guy may just deserve killing. Just saying. All right, a police chief in Alabama resigns, and wait till you hear why. The chief of police for a small Alabama town has been forced to resign after allegations that his force was pulling over people who criticized them on Facebook and stopping people for fake traffic violations to fill their quotas. Oh my gosh, I'm shocked. Are you telling me that police will harass people? Oh my gosh, I am so surprised. Are you telling me that police would pull people over just to fill quotas? I cannot believe that. I'm of the position, ladies and gentlemen, that police should do something more than fill out speeding tickets. Like, there's some real crime out there, all right? And the other one is for not having front license plates on your car, okay? Particularly when your car wasn't made to have a front license plate on there, but you get a $65 ticket every time you park downtown. It's ridiculous. Well, the chief of police in Brookside, Alabama, is the home of 1,300 people. The town reportedly has 1 retail store, a volunteer fire department, but has 1 police officer for every 144 people. Issues have reportedly been going on between local police and its residents for years. Michelle Jones says she was pulled over in May of 2019 for running a stop sign, which she insisted she did not do. So Jones took the internet, complained about the local police. Then, according to Jones, the person threatened me with an arrest if I did not take down my Facebook pictures and posts of their police officers and stop sending emails to local politicians as others. Yeah, the police need to get over it, okay? First of all, if you really have nothing better to do than traffic violations, you got too many police. And it's good that the community is safe, but then you're out there looking for crime. Then you start turning everyday citizens into criminals. Traffic shouldn't be a big issue. Just saying. We don't want people running stop signs. I get that. It's not safe. But there's a remedy for that if they hit somebody. It's called you go sue somebody, okay? I don't think that ticket's going to be that big of a deterrent. Just saying. But the police need to get over it, okay? You can photograph police. You can tell people, you can tell the world the police are not doing their job appropriately. The police should not retaliate. So this police chief, from what we know, he deserves to go if he was responsible for telling citizens, basically, we're going to continue to harass you if you don't stop criticizing us. The power of the people on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Power of the people. Please go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. You'll be happy you did. If there's anyone out there you were ever curious about what was in their background, now is the time to do it. If you're going to get involved with somebody, now is the time to do it. When you go to crimetalksearch.com, you put in the name, literally millions of public records are searched, and a report is generated. And it's going to give you a report. If they have multiple social media accounts, you're going to find it. If they have multiple phone numbers, multiple email addresses, it's going to be found. And more importantly, you're going to get information regarding criminal history. Hopefully the person you're searching has none whatsoever. But if it's there, it's going to be found. You're going to get everything you'd want to know, whether you're going into business or whether you're going into a personal relationship. You're going to be able to find out the information you want to know. So go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up today. You'll be happy you did. And next on the docket, I have said this before, you don't mess with witnesses, okay? This story I saw the other day, but this is now super relevant. So 6 people were found dead in Milwaukee home on Sunday, and they were shot in an execution-style killing. Now, 3 of the victims were due to testify in an upcoming murder trial. That's what the police have just let the public know. Police were called to perform a welfare check, and inside they discovered Caleb Jordan, Giovanni Liddell, Charles Hardy, Donald Smith, Donta Williams, and Michelle Williams. Michelle and Donta were married, and Donald and Dante were brothers. It's unclear how Caleb, Giovanni, and Charles are all related to everybody. But police will not say who, but 3 of the victims were due to testify as witnesses at a murder trial in Milwaukee. The details of the case are not known. A spokesperson for the family said that they would never have thought this would have happened to their family. The brother of the 2 of the victims, Donald Smith and Donta Williams, he said his brother Donald lived at the home and took in people when they didn't have a place to go. Police have 4 persons of interest in custody, but they will not name them, and they have not yet been charged. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, for someone who's actually represented somebody who was literally targeted because they were going to testify in a homicide case, I take this very seriously, and so do the police, okay? And I'm telling you, if people are going around killing witnesses and what may appear to be people that were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, that is death penalty type of stuff, okay? That strikes right at the heart of the criminal justice system and should not be tolerated. So let's hope the police get the right guys on this, charge them, make sure they get their due process rights. But if this was a killing to keep people from testifying, they need to be locked up, if not put to death, and never see the light of day. And anyone who ordered them to go do that should be charged as well. You don't mess with witnesses, ladies and gentlemen. You just don't do it. But it also shows that those protection orders mean nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Whether it's a criminal or a civil, what are you going to do? Hold up the piece of paper and say, you can't be near me? Not going to do you a whole lot of good. You got to be able to take care of yourself. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal of the day. But before we do that, quick wrap up of the week's contestants. Shane McElerney from Galloway, Ireland, refused to comply with the mask mandate and quickly became angry on his flight to Florida. And he threw a can at a passenger and then pulled his pants down to moon a flight attendant and then took the captain's cap off his head while the captain was speaking to him. Dumb, dumb, dumb. 20 years in prison is what he's looking at. Tuesday, roommates Levi Arnenberg and Maurice Gusky got into an argument over Gusky's 4 ferrets. Arnenberg argued that they were taking up too much room in the shared space. The cops were called when Gusky could not find his ferrets, and Arnenberg admitted to taking out the ferrets because they smell like crap. Wednesday, An officer in Vero Beach, Florida, met a man who appeared to be visibly intoxicated and on an unknown substance. The officer searched Eric Bennett and found some needles and fentanyl and said that he has the hypodermic needles for fishing. That's right. Yesterday, Thursday, a Florida man pled guilty to stealing his twin brother's identity to take advantage of his veterans benefits. Wayne Bowen of Jacksonville, Florida, used the name, Social Security card, and military discharge papers of his twin brother to apply for housing benefits going back to 2014. And unlike his twin, Wayne hadn't served in the military, and his brother threw him under the bus. And today's dumb criminal comes from the international desk here at Crime Talk. Two men propped up a corpse and brought it into a post office in Ireland in an attempt to collect the dead man's pension. Local police launched an investigation after workers at the post office became suspicious and called authorities. The Weekend at Bernie's-like incident happened after a man first came into the post office alone to try and collect the pension and was told by the staff that the pensioner recipient needed to be present. Shortly after, the man returned with another man and the body. After the others became suspicious, the two men fled the scene, leaving the body behind. No money was given to the men, who are believed to have known the deceased personally. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen, but that is probably one of the dumbest things I've heard, at least thus far this year. That is truly a Weekend at Bernie's event. Had a client that did a Weekend at Bernie's once. It was just his deceased wife in the back seat. Can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.